to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us on another edition of DAX Machina. We're going to have a great show for you guys tonight, and we appreciate you guys who jumped in with us last night. We are still celebrating the 5,000 subscriber mark. The big giveaways for that will be on Saturday. We'll be setting that up for the Saturday show. We wanted to give everybody a little bit of advance warning, other than just going, here it is. But we'll announce the full list of what we're going to be giving away and everything that we're going to be doing to celebrate on for Saturday. But for tonight, we're going to be talking about the 1855 Oklahoma Bigfoot War. I know we mentioned a little bit last night, and we've talked about it, in passing on other shows. But tonight, we're really going to be digging into it, and I'm pretty excited. Robbie, how you doing, brother?
It's been a day.
The pause between that really
you know kind of how it was.
Well, Noah, thank you for jumping in. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty decently. I'm just amazed that the intro made it all the way through without glitching up with me here. Seems like every time I'm here, the intro doesn't want to play right.
The intro is going to get replaced here soon anyway.
What would our show be without some kind of...
Exactly. So we won't have a Doc sighting tonight. And Doc is working for that significant company down in Florida. He has been putting in 14, 15-hour days, so he went back to his hotel, went to sleep. So Doc won't be here tonight. Hopefully he'll be back with us on Saturday. And of course, Steve works through the week, so we won't see Steve till Saturday anyway. And Anthony told me that Uncle John is back in the hospital, so he may or may not be here tonight. Unfortunately, for good or for ill, what you see is what you get. At least until Noah runs off on us.
Wait, I mean, it's entirely possible that I might. I mean, like, I've got a buddy who's in town because his cousin's getting married, so he's gonna come through and kidnap me at some point. So I'll be out of here either after the show or maybe before the show. Who knows?
Well, you never know. That's funny. They've stolen Doc and are requesting everyone be here Saturday to see him. There we go. Yeah, we're holding Doc for ransom. That's it. Castor Pollux.
Just a small ransom.
He's a tiny ransom. Blondes and Booze are in the house tonight. Hey, ladies, how y'all doing? Pork and Beans in the house. David Bye.
Whole lot of folks in the chat tonight.
Yeah. And it's climbing by the minute. We're going to be talking about, like I said, we're going to be talking about the 1855 Oklahoma Bigfoot War. Robbie, you have been reading up on this subject a little bit. What do you think about it?
I read a little bit up on it before we came in the show. It's pretty interesting. It was a lot more in depth than what I originally thought about it.
There's a lot more to it than
I've heard of live horsemen before, but I didn't have any clue that's where it came. Yeah, I didn't know that's where the light horseman originally came from. So that was pretty cool to find that out.
There's a lot of history involved. As quite a few people, try to say that all this event didn't happen, but for it to have not happened, there's an awful lot of actual history backing it up. They may not have been able to locate the exact spot where this happened. We know it's somewhere in LaFleur County, Oklahoma, which is down in the Choctaw Nation. But LaFleur was a real guy, and that is documented. I can't remember what year he was born. I want to say he was born in, was it late 1700s, I think it was, and died in 1855. I've got it somewhere. Looking for my notes. Sorry. There it is. We know that he actually did exist. He was born in the Choctaw Nation in 1797, and he died in what was known as Indian Territory in 1855. Of course, he was, if legend is true, he was killed during this event, this story. Um, and it didn't become Indian, quote unquote, Indian territory until 1838. And there are references in both Arkansas, and that was of Arkansas being a state, and it wasn't until 1836. So there's just a lot of actual historical events that take place that seem to corroborate this timeline. If it's not a legit story, then there's just a hell of a lot of stuff that's very anecdotal to the existence of it. Sorry, I was trying to catch up with the comments there. David By says that's southeast Oklahoma. Yeah, that's down near Durant, Oklahoma, down the corner, down not far from where the siege at Hanobia was, or Hanabi, however you pronounce it. I know pronunciations in Oklahomese is a little weird, like Miami, Miami, is usually
You said Oklahoma.
Miami. Sorry, Mia. Miami, just like it is in Florida, not in Oklahoma. It's Miami.
You said Oklahomies, and I immediately thought, "What's up, my Oklahomies?"
William Nighthawk says it's legit. I firmly believe it is. William, if you want to jump in and talk about this with us, let me know. I'll send you a link. Be more than happy to have you come in and talk about it. Sharon Lane says McCurtain County, Oklahoma is another hot spot, as is down near. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I was just reading several accounts from there earlier today. It's an odd name of the town. That's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to have to check my notes. Hang on, give me just a second.
So how about them Lakers?
Sorry, I was looking up the name of that town. I'm trying to find it in my notes.
I was just being a shithead.
Tushka, Oklahoma. Apparently, there's a lot of stuff going on down around Tushka, Oklahoma, and we just drove through there coming back from Choctaw just last week. So I've already been through that area, but I want to go down there and really kind of get involved and maybe do some camping. There's so much to this story that we know for a fact that the people involved were real, and LaFleur is just one of them. There were a group of brothers, and I want to say there were 4 brothers, the Tubby brothers, Tubbee. They were all were Choctaw, and they were. Yeah, and their dad. That's right. The Tubbies were part of these light horsemen, and every one of them were damn near 7 feet tall. I think the youngest of the Tubby brothers was only like 6'8", only. Which when you think about it, it sounds like these guys were huge, and they were. I'm not saying anything about it, anything about it not being possible, but when I was doing the research for Dark Frontiers, I was doing some research on the Osage. Which the Osage are part of, all throughout northern Oklahoma and throughout Missouri at the time, all over this area where I live. The Osage, it says the average height of the Osage was between 6.5 and 7 feet tall at that time, and that's a big fella. That's a whole big group of people there, and so to me that just adds to it. I mean, when they talk about how big the Tubbies were, you can't just go, oh, they didn't get that big back then, when we've got documented historical accounts of Native Americans in that time being that large. Sharon Lane says, I think that's part of the Choctaw Nation. I think it is as well. Rian Metter says, first timer here. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the DAX Machina Nation. We're happy to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Sorry. There we go. I need to put up my my crawler there. What was I saying? Oh yeah. But all throughout that area, even over into Arkansas, there were reports that were coming in of missing food, like foodstuffs, like vegetables taken from gardens, and people were having food taken from not only their storage but from their houses. Animals were being attacked and mutilated. But then it escalated. Native American, the Osage, and settlers in the area started reporting their children going missing. And so that's when these light horsemen got involved. They were sent to investigate and try to find out what had caused it. Robbie, do you remember how many was in the party? How many riders went out? I want to say it was around 30.
I think it said 30.
Yeah,
that's what the article you sent me said was 30.
Yeah. So 30 of these riders went out.
It said at one point when they came up over that ridge, he said he led the charge.
Mm-hmm. Well, these 30 riders, these light horsemen,
with the Tubby when he came up over that ridge, he said he led his 30 riders.
So they went out looking for these things, and apparently when they did find them, they decided they were just going to charge cavalry style. But as they got close and the horses got wind of it, the horses broke and ran. A lot of the riders were thrown, and horses will panic at attacks of predators, and even cavalry trained horses will break and run if it's something they're not familiar with. That's something I had to research quite a bit when I was doing first hunt, my Dark Frontiers book, because I wanted to know the reactions of horses like that. These horses were battle trained. Horses that wouldn't flinch during cannon fire, will react totally differently if it's a grizzly bear or in this case a Bigfoot. But apparently, as they got close to these things, the stench was overwhelming of both urine and feces, and they found piles of bodies of children that these things had been eating. So they attacked these creatures, and some of the guys were just taken out immediately. Bullets were not seeking to slow these things down, and LaFleur himself charged one of the bigger of the creatures, and with a single swipe, it took the horse's head off. And so LaFleur started emptying his pistols into the thing, which really just seemed to piss it off. And he took his head too, killed him with a swipe. And so that's when the Tubby brothers kind of took charge. They switched to 50 caliber buffalo rifles and started putting in a bunch of headshots. As the battle continues to rage, they're killing more and more of these things, but they're still losing a lot of their own men. But well-placed shots to the head from 50 caliber buffalo rifles start having their toll. They start putting these things down. At the end of the day, they finally won the fight. They buried the children, buried LaFleur, gave him a 21 gun salute, and they basically made a massive bonfire to burn the bodies of these Bigfoot creatures. I would love to be able to locate the area exactly where this happened. I don't care if I've got to find a way to go back by horseback or even on foot. I would love to go see if we could find some artifacts. Both expended shells, maybe guns, cavalry sabers, or most preferably large bones. Dave By says those buffalo rifles would give anyone a bad day. That they certainly would. Miss Lene's absolutely right. Horses that didn't get trained by the Lakota Lynn Farm and Miss Lene. They sorry, no.
What?
Lost my train of thought. Sorry.
What'd you apologize to me for?
The message you sent in a private chat. West Up says, "Let's go. I have a metal detector." My wife's got a metal detector too. The problem is finding the spot. I'm going to be getting with some people. I want to talk to Jessica Jones to see if she can remote view the area, and I want to talk to some folks that live a little closer to that area than I do, and see if we can't possibly track that area down. I would like to put together a little group, go down there and look. But just from the way it's described, I don't think it's terribly far from Brown Springs. I mean, this is they talk about these creatures were taking children from not only Native American tribes, but over across into Arkansas. So that's got to be somewhere down close to Texarkana. I mean, we're not talking, these things having 1,000-mile range. If they're raiding nearby farms and bringing them back to a central location to eat the kids, it can't be more than a day's travel. So they've got to be somewhere down near the Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma border. I'd put money on that, which is right there close to Brown Springs. Spy in the Sky 777 says hi from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Hope y'all doing good. Broken Arrow's down that way. There's a lot of great stories coming from that coming out from down that direction. We're having a great day. Thanks for being with us. Boys, you're awful quiet.
I'm just keeping track of chat and making sure nobody's doing anything they shouldn't be doing.
I'm gonna read.
Ray and
I'm gonna
Matter
step
says,
out real quick, restart, see if that fixes my issues while I got a quick second.
Ray and Matter says, "Oh, I'm in for metal detecting in a dangerous region." I would say if there's any still Bigfoot in that area, we might very well be looking at something potentially dangerous. Sharon Lane says, "DA, I'll ask my father-in-law. He's close friends with the current chief of Choctaw Nation. He's Cherokee. Maybe they'll know something. That would be awesome. If you could find out some information about that, that would be freaking awesome." Roxanne says, "Isn't that near the Chimeras area? Probably spelled wrong. Maybe. I know it can't be too terribly far from Brown Springs, and it's also got to be really, really close to where the siege at Honneby happened, which is why I chose that setting for the setting of my first Wild Hunt book. Down in the Ouachita Mountains, the Ouachitas, the Kiamichis, and the Ozark Plateau all kind of come together in that area. And that is some very rugged terrain. I know when you get down close to Durant, Oklahoma, once you get past about, I want to say, once you really start getting past, what is it, Muskogee. Once you get past Muskogee, that's when the terrain really starts getting pretty dense. There's a lot of lakes down in that area. A lot of heavily wooded area. I mean, even on the interstate when you're driving down 69, it's Interstate 69. But as you're driving down 69 toward Durant, even on both sides of the roads, the area is really still thickly wooded. That whole area down there is very beautiful, very very green, and I could see how it would easily be something that could hide large predators. William, like I said, brother, if you want to jump in and talk about this, we would love to have you. Just shoot me a message and let me know you want in, and I will be happy to send you the link.
Now, I don't know a lot about the geography of Oklahoma. I don't know a lot about the placement of everything and all that stuff. But given how many caves there are in Missouri and in the Ozarks particularly, I definitely think that there could be a little bit of connection between some of the sightings here and the sightings in Oklahoma. I think that's very much within the realm of possibilities.
That little town right there where some of the casinos that your mom likes to go to, there's one called Indigo Sky. It's right there at Seneca, and Seneca, Missouri is like right on the Missouri-Oklahoma border. As soon as you leave the city limits of Seneca, you're in Oklahoma. I really think that area is a hot spot because one, that area is just it's very, very rural. There's no really big cities in that area. I mean, Seneca is not exactly civilization as most people know it. Seneca is one of those what we call a poke and plumb town. You poke your head out the window and you plumb through it. Not much there. And it's one of those little places that seems to roll up the sidewalks once sundown hits. Because you can drive through that place just after dark, and there is nothing going on. Only thing open's a convenience store, and even that's a little questionable.
Yeah, and like it wouldn't be far-fetched at all to think that some of these creatures could be the same creatures that are being spotted here in Missouri.
Roxanne Delgado says, DA, have you heard about any sightings in Southwest Missouri at all? I was wondering. Yeah, there are a lot of sightings in this area. One of the most recent was down by some fishermen down on Table Rock Lake down by Kimberling City. They were trolling up into a little slough area, and something started throwing rocks at them. And at first they thought it was just somebody playing pranks on them until they realized the rocks were coming out of the tree, coming out of the trees and coming in on an arc that would mean they were traveling 30 to 40 yards from the trees before they hit the water. And they were probably 40-pound rocks. I don't know that there's too many Olympic level shot putters out there hiding on Table Rock Lake to chuck massive rocks at people. Sharon Lane says Eastern Oklahoma looks like the Ozarks. It sure does. Eastern Oklahoma is not only heavily wooded, but there's the ground is very rugged. In fact, the Girl Scout camp murders are in that kind of terrain.
The weirdest creature sightings to me are the ones that don't seem to have like any sort of pattern to them. You know what I mean? Particularly in this area, where you'll have like a Momo sighting here in Springfield, or like here in the Springfield area, right? And then you'll have like you'll have like a Dogman sighting at like Lake Taneycomo or something like that. And there's no real pattern in the area, which leads me to believe that this is kind of like a melting pot for a lot of different creatures like that. You know what I mean?
Well, you've got stories of the howler around here too.
Yeah.
David By says I thought it was part of the Ozarks. Well, yeah, technically, but the Wachitas and the Kiamichis are their own range. So they might be technically up against or part of the Ozark Highlands, but they are their own ranges as well. Oh, excuse me, I got the hiccups. Ugh.
And it's like the more stories that I hear about the various creatures that there are here in like Missouri and the surrounding areas, it's like, are we just like the discount like Appalachians?
Just about. Oh, we heard Ozark hillbillies. Roxanne Delgado says, "What about the like Joplin on South for Roaring River?" Plus, once I heard someone saw one Southwest City a long while back. I've had several reports from around Miami, Oklahoma. I've also got two sightings from Roaring River. One from a fisherman and one from a lady who was driving home and had a daylight sighting as one crossed the river in front of her car. She almost hit it.
I had a coworker back when I worked at Men's Warehouse, who I'm sure she'd rather I not name her, who was originally from the Joplin store, and we were sitting around talking one night. It was just me and her closing, and we were sitting there, and she was like, I had a weird thing happen to me before we moved out of Joplin, and it's actually the reason why they moved out of Joplin, right? She said they let the dog out one time, and the dog came sprinting back up to the house after going to the bathroom, like full-blown running up to the house, and they were like super confused by that, so they started shining a flashlight around, and she said they saw a big silhouette standing in the tree line behind their house. She said it probably 7-8 feet tall. She said, and after that things started like knocking on the outside of the house, so they moved quickly after that.
Well, that is one reaction to it. I would have been just the opposite. I'm like, we're going to get some cameras out there. We're going to get something on camera. Patty Davis says, do you think they're nomads traveling constantly? That's something we've talked about at length before. And Robbie and I have kind of come to the same conclusion on that. We think they're following the herds. If a predator that big, like say for example, if you had some acreage behind you, if you had 5 acres of woods and it was all surrounded by farmland, and there was a grizzly bear that lived in that 5 acres of woods, after a week or two, there would be nothing left in that 5 acres of woods for it to eat. Maybe not even that long. Big predators have to keep moving. Yeah. Robbie, what's the range on a mountain lion again?
260 something miles, 250.
I knew it was 200. I knew it was 200 maybe. Plus. So if a mountain lion has over a 200-mile range, what do you think a Sasquatch that weighs 4 to 5 times its body weight would have? John Wayne Gates says, my mom and grandma told us there were boogers. That was near Ava, Missouri. John Wayne Gates, he says, my mom and grandma told us there were boogers. That was near Ava, Missouri. Well, Ava, Missouri is in Douglas County, and its nickname is Booger County.
Also, Ava, Missouri is just kind of out in the middle of BFE.
It is in the middle of nowhere. David Hughes says the resort areas around Broken Bow have Bigfoot-themed stores and signs everywhere. Very steep terrain. Yeah, when you're traveling 69 from basically, I can't remember where you turn off, what the name of that town is. But there's a little town, Adair, Oklahoma. From Adair to Durant is basically
Adair.
just a straight shot down 69. Adair, Oklahoma to Durant, Oklahoma is pretty much just a straight shot. It goes through Muskogee and Tahlequah and several other little towns. But once you're on that, that all that terrain down there is pretty rough stuff. And once you get down to the lakes on the other side of Muskogee, that is some really woolly areas and big lakes down there too.
What's a booger? It's these little things that are in your nose.
No, it's basically Southern and hillbilly slang for Bigfoot.
That's all I'm here for. That's all I'm here for, is to make really sarcastic comments.
Miss Lene says, aren't there also a lot of
good
sightings of dogman and Bigfoot around Lake Skiatook, Oklahoma? A lot of dogman sightings in Oklahoma as well. And there was even one inside a dogman sighting inside the city limits of Tulsa.
We missed a question before from Jake S. He said,
Okay.
"Hey, love the channel, brother. Have you heard anything out of Dittmer, Missouri?"
I would have to check my notes. I'm not right off the top of my head sure where Dittmer's at.
I-
What part of Missouri is Dittmer in? David Hughes says, my folks have a ranch in Mount Pleasant, Texas. That Mount Pleasant, that was where the what is the name of that? Let me grab my notes.
Dittmer is not far out of St. Louis.
Yeah, there are a lot of dogman sightings up near St. Louis and Bigfoot sightings along the Missouri.
Matter of fact, I think it may even be in St. Louis County.
Maybe.
Nope,
The
just
Converse
barely out.
werewolf is down there near Mount Pleasant, Texas. That was a werewolf account that happened back in the 1800s.
Yeah, there's a Netflix, or not a Netflix, but a YouTube documentary on that Converse werewolf right now.
Do what? There's a documentary on it?
Yeah, on the Converse werewolf.
I'm gonna have to watch that. Roxanne Delgado says, I was that one in Tulsa. Bath got a pic of that's been on the news and internet. I would love to hear more about that. Yeah, there's a lot of sightings in that area. Patty Davis is here in my area of Arkansas. We have the Falk monster. Well, if this story about the Oklahoma Bigfoot War is to believe, it's going to be close to Falk. It's got to be close to where the Arkansas and Oklahoma borders meet, because these creatures were reported taking children and food from farms in Arkansas, and as well as in the Choctaw lands. So it might be part of the same group of creatures.
Also, somebody, I don't remember, I'm trying to find the message. Somebody said Dittmer's in Franklin County.
Okay.
It was Blondes and Booze. There it is.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of sightings up in that area. A lot of there's what they call the Hound of Hannibal, which is the dogman that's been seen near Hannibal, Missouri. Of course, Louisiana, Missouri is not far from there, and that's where the first sightings of Momo the monster were at. Yeah, there's the whole rich history of sightings over there, over in that area, all along the Missouri and Mississippi rivers. David Hughes says, in fact, all along that corridor of Highway 271 and 69 through Oklahoma are rich in booger activity. That doesn't surprise me. I'm telling you, that terrain is perfect for it. That's exactly why I chose that area for my first wild hunt book, because that area is just so remote, and some of those places are so hard to get to. I mean, you'd have to have, a boat or go in by backpack horse or ATV to get some of these places. Robert D says, Gary, I have friends in Columbia, Missouri. They say all around the Missouri River to KC. Yeah, that Amazon driver that was killed, that we believe that dog man may have had something to do with it. It was killed last September, was within, within spitting distance of the Missouri River. Where we saw that, Noah, where we saw that thing across the road was near the Missouri River, just a few hundred yards away, up there at Lexington, Missouri.
Yeah, that was a very odd experience. And me and Connor have talked about that since, and we still don't know what the hell we saw.
It was too big to be any kind of dog. It didn't look like a cat. It was its back was higher than the Rogue.
It had a cat
the hood of the Rogue,
or like it had like that like cat like haunch to it. You know what I mean? But like I didn't see a tail. It didn't look like a cat.
And
And
the weird part was the way it maintained eye contact.
yeah, no, a deer would have frozen up if it was a deer. So
The thing, it was freaking massive. It was like a dark gray color.
and like before anyone says anything, we're certain it was not a cow. Just want to put that out there.
Definitely not a cow. Sharon Lane says sightings over by Lake Ten Killer near Tahlequah. Yeah, I've recently discovered a whole wealth of sightings from eastern Oklahoma and eastern Texas. So we've done the shows where we've read sightings before. We're probably going to be doing some more of them. Just I've stumbled across a whole new cache of sightings. Pork and Bean says, Robbie, where can you see the documentary?
It was on YouTube. Just search Converse Werewolf.
Sharon Lane says Ava is flat out spooky. When I was a young man, I remember driving down by Ava. Went fishing down at one of the rivers down there, and I had a flat coming home, and was between Ava on my way back to Lebanon. I think I was on Highway 5, and had a flat, and it was like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. I was on my way back from fishing, and I was out there on the side of the road by myself changing that tire, and that was some creepy shit. I kept hearing something in the woods, and of course I never saw anything, but it was a very, very creepy area to be out by myself changing the tire.
There's another question that I believe we missed. Blondes and Booze asked if we had any reports from Eminence, Missouri. Said going on a week-long horseback ride there.
Eminence is where there's a place that they refer to as the killing fields. Had a farmer was reporting his livestock kept coming up missing. So he put out game cameras, trying to catch whatever it was, and he kept getting the game cameras broken. So he started calling the Missouri Department of Conservation. They said something's out here and it's breaking game cameras and it's killing my livestock. So they sent some professional trackers out to help him find the predator that was killing his animals. So a couple of professional trackers come out who are both well armed. A couple of Missouri Department of Conservation guys who are both well armed, and the farmer also well armed started tracking this thing. They tracked it back to a cave way back in the woods, and leading up to the cave on both sides were large numbers of bones. They said that some of they're from lots of different species, including elk. And the Missouri Department of Conservation guys said, "Stop right here. I don't know what's in that cave, but we're not going any closer." He said, we're going to stay the hell out of there, and let's back out of there. And they left the area, and the farmer was told, don't go back there again. Well, supposedly that area has been monitored pretty closely by Missouri Department of Conservation insofar as that they've seen lots of like military style vehicles going back there. And they refer to it as the killing field. But as far as I know, nobody's ever got up the stones to go see what the hell was in that cave.
Well, Cam reads a lot of stuff on his show about that area with wildlife people that have gone in and like, hey, there's something here. I'm telling these farmers, don't go back out and you back 40 or whatever. I mean, there's a ton of those kind of letters.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Smiddle Cave thing. There's got to be a reason the Smiddles were thrown off their land that has nothing to do with a damn brown bat.
Well, I mean, there's also been instances where It's been reported by Missouri Conservation. Hey, don't go outside your house if you live in this area because there's a bear on the loose. And it's usually like they're reporting a black bear, and it's like, well, if it's a black bear, all you have to do is make yourself bigger than it, and it'll leave you alone. Also, black bears generally don't give you any trouble, anyways. You can walk up and pet them suckers if you want.
I wouldn't recommend it. Roxanne Delgado says, growing up, my grandparents had a farm in Mountain View, Missouri, and Grandpa would tell all of us grandchildren stories he told were big, hairy monsters, and that was 60 years ago. I've heard a lot of similar stories from my relatives that live in the backwoods. I had cousins that lived out by Grove Springs that used to talk about the hairy man that would come steal apples out of their orchard. Little Bear Running says, did they bury the 17 children near Ardmore, Oklahoma area? I think I've read this before. I'm going to guess that could be the area, but they never said exactly where it was. There was no settlement there. They buried Captain LaFleur and the children where they found them, and then they burned the Bigfoot bodies. I would very much like to find the exact spot where this happened. I think it'd be a great place to go start putting out some cameras for potential Bigfoot activity, as well as maybe find some artifacts. Especially if we could find artifacts from like cavalry that could very well substantiate this story. Christian Caraval Pratt says 1,600 person and children missing in Alberta and around the world. Bigfoot is a predator. I totally agree.
Oh yeah.
I've been saying that for a while. Papa Bear says in northwestern Illinois, my great grandma would tell us not to be out late because there was a madman out. Sorry, I still got the stupid hiccups. Sharon Lane says supposedly the government tracks them from Texas up to southern Missouri. They try to keep them east of 45, if you can believe this. It doesn't surprise me. Like I've said for a long time, I believe the government knows about these things, and they've known about them for a very long time. And I think that it was because of activity of these creatures. I think that's why the Smiddles got kicked off their land. I mean, I'm going to bring that picture up real quick. And like I said, stuff would go, there were reports of livestock getting killed, and of course they were blaming it on coyotes back then. But it would make more sense that they were trying to control Bigfoot type creatures and keep them out of this cave, to deny them the shelter so they would continue moving on out of the area, instead of this being built just to keep people out. Robbie, what do you think?
I think that's an awful. I can't do Jim Carrey's thing. A spilling for a filthy flying rodent. I don't see that's got anything to do with bats.
Yeah, I don't think that's at all necessary for.
I think it's
protecting bats. You could have gone with a chain link fence.
And I didn't think about it the way you just. Yeah, I didn't think about it the way you just said. Maybe we talked about it originally as keeping something in. Mm-hmm. Maybe it is to keep something out from actually getting back in there.
Jake S says, have any of y'all been hunting out in Rich Woods, Missouri? It's creepy vibe out there. I've been hunting up near Richland, Missouri. I've never been by Rich Woods, but Richland, Missouri, which is between Lebanon and Fort Leonard Wood on I-44. It's actually off the road a ways. I used to deer hunt up there all the time, and that's a weird area. That's a really creepy area. Yeah, I'm going to put that back up one more time. I mean, that ain't to keep people away from bats. And the way that is angled out, it looks like it's built to keep something very big out of there. I mean, you can take a look at those bars and see how thick they are.
Well, yeah, that's to keep something. You can tell how big they are just with that picture with the guy standing in front of them.
Yeah, this is, to me, it just says that this is to keep something very big out of that cave. And by denying those things, that shelter, they may be trying to keep them moving out of the area.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Rayanne Matter says that gate, it should say trouble lives here. You ain't kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels oddly suspect. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Like, why are we barring this off with like some sturdy shit instead of just caging this off?
Shai says kaiju bats.
Trying to protect ourselves from Mothra.
Is that Mafe or Mafe Martinez? Thank you so much. Thanks for the super chat. Looks like King Kong. Looks like a King Kong gate. Yeah, no kidding. And that's on a cave here in Missouri.
Yeah, that's a.
Richard Cox says would like to see some night drone footage of that area. Well, that might happen sooner than you think.
Yeah, that's not to keep protection over bats. That's
right. Little Bear Running says, government. Oh, the military, Washington government admits in their Bigfoot article they do exist and they do track them. That doesn't shock me. Roxanne Delgado says outside of Carthage, Missouri, behind the underground, a person got pics of a black cat and put it in the paper. By the pics, it was really big. That was about 25 years ago. They're black cat sightings all over Missouri. Somebody just saw one crossing the highway out near Rogersville, Missouri, which is about 15 miles from here. I think it was last year or year before.
Just to clarify, we're talking about like panthers, not like house cats, right?
No. Black panthers, yeah, not house cats.
Okay. I was like, because we see black cats run through the neighborhood all the
time. Sharon Lane says family bought land adjacent to Sam Houston National Forest. Expect to see some critters. I certainly would expect to if you're right up against a national forest.
Yeah, I'm not certain what we saw, but because we didn't see a tail on that creature up there, Dad, I don't know if we could claim that we saw like a panther or something. But honestly, like the size of that thing, like that's the only thing I can think of.
It was big. To me, it stood up too tall. I think what we saw was either an Ozarks howler or a dogman on all fours.
Yeah, I mean,
because its back would have been above the hood of the rogue.
Well, my thing is the haunch in its
mountain
back.
Yeah, mountain lions don't get that big though.
It was like haunched over like a cat. That wasn't like canine behavior. You know what I mean? Like,
still, I
don't know.
I can't think of anything. Well, the Ozarks howler's been described to move like a cat, but be the size of a bear.
That was certainly in that ballpark.
Yeah, whatever the hell we saw across the road was big. It had to have been, in north of 500 pounds. It was a big critter, and its shoulders would have been. It was on all fours, and its shoulders would have been higher than the front end of the rogue. David Bice says Neodesha, about an hour west of Joplin, a little north of Coffeyville. Is there a sighting there? Robert D says, if its back is above your hood, it's not a cat, DA. That's what I'm saying. On all fours, its shoulders would have been above the hood of my SUV.
Yeah, I was about to say we have an SUV. Like,
yeah, we've got a Nissan Rogue, and the front end is not like low to the ground like a small car. I mean, this thing it's an SUV with good clearance. And whatever that was that crossed the road, and it's not like we saw it for like 5 seconds. We got a good minute-long look at it as it came out of the corn on one side, locked eyes. I felt like it had locked eyes with me. It turned its head and looked directly at the car, and the headlights
still moving.
Right, while it was still moving, the headlights reflected its eye shine was so bright that the reflected of the eye shine like obscured its face. I couldn't see its head because of the brightness of the reflected eyes. Of course, my headlights were on bright, and that car's got a really bright headlights, but the eye shine was so bright I couldn't see details of its head. But it maintained eye contact until it went, out of the cornfield, across the ditch, across a wide gravel road, through the other ditch, and I only lost sight of its eyes when it went in the other cornfield.
And we were getting up close to it when it went into that other cornfield.
Yeah, we weren't far away. I would say, what do you think, Noah? 30 yards at the most.
Oh, less than 30 yards even. I'd ballpark. We were probably 15 to 20 meters away from it.
Shai says, Noah, were you in agreement with your father stopping and getting out to check? That was my plan. And that's like, she called me by my first and middle name. You were not getting out of this car. I was armed.
Yeah. Dad and I were both like unbuckling our seat belts, and Mom was just like, no. It's like, if you morons want to get yourself killed, then don't do it when I'm in the car with you.
Hey, you can come back after you take me to the hotel. I'm not going out in that cornfield. William Nighthawk says could have been a devil dog. I kind of at that point thought maybe Ozark's howler, because the howler is always described as moving. Well, it's not always described, but usually described as moving like a cat, although being like having dog-like features and being roughly the size of a bear. And this thing was definitely had the size of a bear. I mean, and it didn't move like a bear. Noah's right. It kind of slinked. It kind of had that predatory walk to it. It didn't just kind of lumber along like a bear.
Like the shoulders like broadened, like back kind of haunched a little bit, like it was like watching us as it moved away.
Karen Peterson says the upright canine I saw moved more feline-like and had a hunch to it when it was on all fours. When it ran, it was low to the ground. That is exactly like what we saw, Noah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mrs. Chef Yoda gave us a super chat. Thank you so much, ma'am. That is awesome. Thank you so much.
Holy hell.
Thank you, ma'am. You're awesome. Poncho Zortza saw a dog man at Old Greenville State Park on 0123. Dude, I'd like to hear that whole story. Would you like to write that out and email it to me? DARoberts@daroberts.net. I would love to hear that whole story.
I believe I have that command set up.
Yeah, it's contact.
Yes.
Trying to. Sharon Lane says, fly over Missouri and see how interconnected with creeks and rivers it is. A creature can go a long way and not see a human. If you look at the Mark Twain National Forest and how far it goes, because it goes from just up near St. Louis all the way down to Arkansas, and it practically meets up with the Ozark National Forest. And between the Ozark National Forest and the Mark Twain National Forest, just those two is almost 5 million square acres of wilderness. I think the Mark Twain, I want to say, is 2.8 or 2.9, and the Ozark is like 1.4 or 1.5. So between the two of them, they're like right at 5 million acres. And that's not even counting all the interconnected waterways. We've got so many rivers and creeks and lakes in Missouri. You look at down, if you look down just south of us, Noah, you've got Bull Shoals Lake, Beaver Lake, Lake Taneycomo, Table Rock Lake, and what's the other one?
You named all the ones that I can think of off the top of my head.
There's another lake down there that
I'm pretty good at knowing where the states are and where other countries are, but not where bodies of water are, man.
And then north of us, you've got Pomme de Terre Lake. Yes, Potato Lake. Pomme de Terre Lake, Lake of the Ozarks, Stockton Lake. There's some big lakes. They're all man-made lakes, but there are some huge lakes all around our area.
Yeah, there's a lot of water around us.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of fish to be had around us.
Definitely. Shai says, I still believe it intentionally singled you out to let you see it. That doesn't really surprise me because we were maybe a mile from the horse ranch where we had done the Bigfoot thing, and there was something in the woods throwing rocks at Krista and my wife, and we could hear it pacing around us. In fact, Noah and Connor grabbed flashlights and went looking for it and couldn't find anything. But
Yeah,
there we could hear something walking in the woods around us.
We even stepped into the woods and saw that there was just like a sheer drop at one point.
It's because we were right up close to the Missouri River. I mean, you could have, where we were down there with that big fire, you could probably thrown a rock and it landed in the Missouri.
I mean, when we were stepped off into the woods, we could hear running water. So, I mean,
yeah, we were within rock throwing distance of the Missouri River.
Yeah, that night was a little strange. And then it only got stranger as we were leaving.
That sighting and that thing crossing the road still perplexes me. Your mom still says she wants to believe that it was a mountain lion, but I think in her heart of hearts, she knows it was too big.
Yeah, that was far too big to be a mountain lion.
Poncho Zork says, "Yeah, I've sent an email. I'll write out a brief description of my encounter. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to read that encounter." Let's see. Robert D says, "We are the state of rivers. No other state can match us." Doesn't surprise me, man. Missouri also is riddled with caves
and cicadas, but that's a totally different animal.
It's a totally different animal. Lene Perkins says they always follow the creeks. Quote from the Legend of Boggy Creek. Yeah, I believe these things use rivers and lakes and rivers, lakes, and creeks like highways. Most sightings are within walking distance of a big body of water.
I mean, what's one of the earliest ways to navigate from mankind? Like, what's one of our most primitive navigation methods?
That's why most settlements were built along rivers.
Follow the body, follow the moving water.
Mm-hmm. David Bice says, I canoed 3 days through the Mark Twain as a teen from north of Blue Springs to Big Springs. I bet that was a good trip. One of the better sightings reports I've got is from the Gasconade River up east of Lebanon. There was a guy I've known for a while. His dad told me this story. He was fishing on the Gasconade, and he was kayak fishing, where you just kind of put your kayak in the water and let the current take you, and you just fish as you're floating down the river, and you only really paddle when you want to change your position in the water. So he was just floating lazily down this river catching fish. He'd put them on a stringer and clip it to a stringer that he had in the water next to the kayak, and he rounded a bend near, I believe it was near Hull's Ford. And you can find that on the map. If you look for the Gasconade River or Lebanon, Missouri, you can find Hull's Ford pretty easily. And he rounded a bend and was approaching Hull's Ford, and there was a Bigfoot. He estimated it was probably around 7.5 feet tall, but it was squatted down on its haunches, sitting at the edge of the water, eating a fish. And when he floated into view, it just looked up and made eye contact with him and watched him until he floated out of range. And they calmly went back to eating its fish. And I said, what did you do? He goes, I froze. He said, all I did was just stare at it until I floated past it. I said, what'd you do then? He goes, I paddled like hell. I was getting the hell out of there. Richard Cox says maybe that booger's a fan of your books. Hey, that's what it was. He was there to get an autograph. David was there. That's right. David was there. Coyotes went the other way. David was there that night. He was sitting over by where I was sitting. Remember, Noah?
I'm sorry.
He was there. David, he was there at the bonfire that night when we kept hearing something moving.
Yeah,
David was there. Yeah. Sarah Lane says Bull Shoals would be a good hiding place. Yeah, that lake is in some rugged country down there. So many lakes down around. I would, if I had the money to build a cabin somewhere, I would like to build it somewhere near Bull Shoals. I know the wife won't ever go for that, but I would like to be in the Ozarks somewhere near Bull Shoals. But We're gonna. She doesn't want to live in the woods, and I do, so naturally we'll compromise and do it her way. Sharon Lane says Beaver Lake, Arkansas is the cleanest in that area. Supposedly, it doesn't surprise me. I also found out something about Table Rock Lake down by Kimberling City. It is reported to have the most deadly snakes in the Ozarks.
I wonder if now that animal activity is starting to rise up again, given that it's springtime, I wonder if we might want to think about going back out to like Blunk Road and
Oh, I definitely want to go back out to Blunk Road.
and what was that other one we went to?
Down Joe Bald.
Yeah, Joe Bald. Yeah. I wonder if
Yeah, I
we
want
should
to
go back to those places.
Oh, definitely. Pork and Bean says, DA, I heard an encounter last night that was one of the best. You need to get the guy on the show. He tells of this dog man moving very cat-like, and it was like 10 feet and 10 feet tall and 4 feet wide. Hey, Pork and Bean, send me the link on that encounter story. Yeah, I would like to check that out and see about maybe getting them on the show. That would be awesome. Ace Banner says, good evening, everybody. Yeah. We're having a good Wednesday so far. I hope you are too, man. David Weiss says it was a good trip. Didn't experience anything, but almost drowned at one point.
Yeah, I personally don't have a lot of like experiences with any creatures like this. So like I don't have a lot of personal evidence to go off of. I have a lot of stories from my friends and just people I've worked with and stuff like that. Stories I've heard over the years. More of my experiences are things with like ghosts and stuff like that. So if we do shows on that, I will have a lot more personal experiences to offer up than just saying, well, in this case or this case, you know what I mean?
We still need to get those videos put together from when we went to that cemetery.
True. Actually, we still need to just sit and watch through them and see what we can see on the cameras.
Yeah. That's
Especially,
something we've never put those together. We need to get those up on the channel.
They're on my phone. Especially in that area that me and Connor kept thinking we saw something at and kept feeling like something was staring at us from over there.
Kevin Bode says, are there a lot of dams in Missouri? Yeah, there's quite a few. Most of the big lakes in Missouri are man-made. They were made by damming up rivers. Bagnell Dam on Lake of the Ozarks is, I think, the biggest in the area. My grandfather helped build that dam back in the 30s.
And in one of the Ragnarok books, you took it down.
Well, that was only in the book. But yeah, there are quite a few dams here in Missouri.
Oh, Meg said, I love cemeteries. I have one here from the 1800s. You did talk about creepy ass cemeteries. What was that cemetery we went to, Dad? Was it Kirby, something like that?
The Kerr Cemetery, Kerr.
The Kerr Cemetery.
Yeah, Kerr Cemetery. That place is creepy as hell.
Yeah. We went out there at one point in the middle of the day. We're hearing things like clinking the back fence and like feeling like we were being watched, and we hightailed it out of there, and like there were clear like burnout marks in the ground where someone else had hightailed it out of there. And Dad,
a creepy little area.
Dad made sure to shut and latch the gate behind us, and
the gate opened uphill. Opened uphill.
It unlatched and opened itself uphill. Yeah, you want to talk about cemeteries. That's an old ass cemetery, and it is a creepy ass cemetery.
That was the time your mom took off and left us. She was wasting no time getting to the car.
Yeah, mom. I've never seen that woman run that fast before in my life.
She was in one heck of a hurry to get in the van that day.
She took off and got in the van. Was it the van or was it the?
It was the old red van that we had.
I thought it was the Taurus.
No, I think we were in their old red van.
Yeah, we should go back out there to that cemetery and record.
We definitely should. We should go out there like right at dusk. David Bice says it sounds like a good place to check out. It's a creepy place. The one we went to that we filmed at last fall, that that's a Civil War cemetery. It's called the Union Campground Cemetery, and it became a cemetery right after the Battle of Wilson's Creek, and the majority of grave markers in that cemetery say unknown on it.
Also, we got eaten up by bugs going out there.
Oh God, yeah, yeah, ticks and chiggers like crazy.
Yeah, well, not so much ticks. I found one crawling on me, but I didn't get bit by any.
She said that was one of the creepiest places she's ever been, and she felt uneasy from the moment we got there.
I don't remember much of it. I just remember getting the hell out of there. Otherwise, I would tell you what I felt out there.
We need to go back out there and film now that you're old enough to appreciate what's going on. Sharon says Missouri has plenty of haunted places. Ask DA if he's been to Wilson's Creek near Springfield. I've been out to Wilson's Creek. I had a buddy that used to volunteer out there. Come to think of it,
Wilson's Creek a number of times.
Let me find that picture real quick. I've got a picture from Wilson's Creek that you guys are going to love.
We should see if he could get us in there to record.
He's volunteering out there again, so he might be able to. Let me find that image. Come on, where you at?
Because I reckon we could probably end up getting some pretty nice footage out there.
The problem is it's a national park. It's a national cemetery. Not cemetery. It's a national battlefield, federal marker. So getting permission to go in there might be a little tough.
Well,
maybe not impossible.
Just gotta ask him who we got to get a hold of. I mean,
I'll see if Forrester can put me in touch with the right people. I know I've got that picture in here somewhere. Give me a second to find it. This picture Forrester took out at Wilson's Creek. Hold on, I'm running through this file. I know it's in here somewhere. I just saw it earlier today.
Oh man.
You all right?
Yeah, that stretch was just kind of one of those ones where you don't realize how tired you are until you do the stretch, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been there.
But yeah, I'd definitely like to go out to Kerr Cemetery again. Certainly Joe Bald and Blunk Road. I don't think I ever actually went to Blunk Road with you when you were recording. I went to Joe Bald when we recorded. I think Nick went with you to Blunk Road.
No, I think you both were there because you and I went walking up over the hill. Pretty sure that you were there for Blunk
Road. I might remember it if we're
Road.
there. I might remember it if we go out there. But wasn't there a house that we needed to go visit upstate a little bit? Like, didn't you have some buddies who had like some sightings on their land?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that we need to go up and visit.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get up there for a while too. Hang on, I know that stupid picture's in here. I just can't find it. God dang it! I hate it when I do that. I know I've got that image.
But I'm trying to think of more creepy spots that we could go to. We need to see if the Crescent Moon Hotel?
Mm-hmm, the Crescent. So the Crescent Hotel down in Eureka Springs.
Yeah, we need to see if they'll let us set up and record at some point as well.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I'm sure they would.
I mean, I know they do like ghost tours and whatnot in there as well, so it wouldn't be super surprising. We also need to get a hold of the guy who owns the Fox Theater and the Galoy.
Mm-hmm.
And see about going in there and recording, because
both of those are supposed to be majorly haunted.
I've heard about a number of occasions where people have been like attacked in the Fox Theater.
I heard of a cop that quit over what he saw in the basement of the Fox Theater.
And that's just in Springfield. I mean, that's an easy thing to get to.
Yeah, the Pythian Castle is supposed to be very haunted too.
Getting them to allow us to record in Pythian Castle would be like pulling teeth, though. They are very reserved about it. I don't think they even do the ghost tours anymore.
The last time I saw, or the last time I drove by the Pythian Castle, they had it gated off. You couldn't even drive back to it.
Because I know they do the ghost ball every now and then, where it's like a spooky theme, like prom night, effectively. But I don't think Pythian Castle's been open for like anybody to go in for a long time.
Well, it's worth checking. This is driving me crazy. I can't find that stupid picture. I know I've got it. I just saw it earlier today. Just check another file. Well, this doesn't make me very happy.
I'll get a hold of some of my Discord community guys and get a hold of some of my chatters and my subscribers and see if any of them have anything creepy in the surrounding areas as well, and see what stories I can dig up and see what places I can dig up for us to go to.
That would be awesome. We need to start filming more.
Yeah. Blondes and Boost says can get you guys into Pythian Castle anytime. I know the owner pretty well.
That would be awesome.
Well, that would be a whole lot of fun.
Heck yeah. If we've got good enough signal, we could do a live event from there.
I can't. Not currently.
No, but if I've got good enough signal, I could do it from mine.
I'll probably handle the recording side of things, and then you can handle the live side of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if we can get that GoPro working, and then I can just go around and record with that bastard in my head.
The GoPro works just fine. I'm just not very good with it.
Just go around looking around with that thing on my head. Maybe record from my phone too, just so we have two different POVs.
This is going to drive me crazy. I hate this, that I can't find that stupid picture.
He's trying so desperately to find it. I wish we could get Cox to sign off on us going into the morgue.
They will not.
Yeah, I know they won't, but I wish we could, because that morgue is haunted as hell.
Yeah, it is. I could tell you some horror stories from the morgue down there. But they will not let anybody in there to film. Not going to happen.
I'm trying to think of any other places that would just be in Springfield that would be easy for us to go to. But I mean, Pythian Castle, Fox Theater, Galoy, and Cox are really the only places I can think of. I mean, Mercy too, but they're going to be the same. They're going to have the same stance on us filming in the morgue as Cox would.
Well, we could go up to the old Girl Scout camp, but we'd probably get in trouble.
It's like 10-foot fenced off now.
Really?
Yeah, they partitioned that entire section off.
Well, I found the image.
There's still
This is the image. This is the image Forrester sent me. And I'll let you look at that for a minute, see if you could spot it before I move on. And then I'm going to zoom in on the area for you. You see it?
Yeah, there's a child behind the cannon.
Yep. Yeah, that's not what I mean. Okay, if you look over the cannon on the left side wheel, the wheel on the left side of the camera, look just above the wheel between those two trees. There was nobody else in the park that day but Forrester and his son. See him? Dead center of the picture. Forrester said there was nobody in the park but him. They were locking gates. Him and his son were going around making sure all the gates were locked. There were no reenactors in the park that day. There was nobody else in the park. He'd already escorted everybody out and was securing gates. What do you guys think of that?
I've seen the picture before, so I voiced my opinion on it. I think it's spooky as hell. Yeah, there's plenty of places around here in the Missouri area that we could go to shoot video, not just for Bigfoot stuff, but paranormal stuff in general. But a lot of like caves and whatnot in the area, we might be able to even like potentially capture something a little more physical.
I want to go out to Smiddle Cave and see if we can get that drone that Robbie gave me and send it back in the cave.
We may get trouble for doing that.
Well, we don't want to send it too far because we lose the signal and it's just going to drop. Open Coloring Books. Has anyone checked out the Ghosts of Dodge City? I haven't been to Dodge City since I was a kid, but it is on the list of places I want to go back to. Eric Testerman says Hawaii is also loaded with activity. Yeah, Hawaii's a little out of my price range of going to, but I would love to go there.
And I'm not certain that the car can make it.
Probably not.
Just take the tires off and Ford it out there, you know? Well, I mean, it's a Nissan, so I don't think it can Ford very well. I'm sorry.
Paul Webb says any Civil War battlefields around hotspots. There's actually a couple of places around here that had Civil War battles. There's the Battle of Wilson's Creek right outside of Springfield. There's the Battle of Carthage, which is down at Carthage, Missouri. That was a nasty battle. There was another battle fought near Hartville. There's a Civil War mansion there called Steel Mansion that somebody's turned into a bed and breakfast that's supposed to be haunted as hell. And there were actually cannons set up in the front yard of that mansion. There's all kinds of battles that were fought around here within fairly short drive. Lene says, DA, were the Bigfoot Oklahoma Wars Genosqua? They just described them as large and hairy. That it's never said if they might have been, Genosqua or Gugway, but they're described as big and hairy. But they were definitely aggressive. Of course, the one that's in Falk, Arkansas, has never been described as being like a Gugway. It's always been described as being just a big, hairy Sasquatch, like a skunk ape. But it's also been known to be aggressive. I mean, in the movie alone, it reached through that guy's bathroom window and pretty much cured any blockages he had. I guarantee he didn't have any problems passing anything at that particular moment when the large hairy arm came through the window and grabbed him.
And then there's sometimes sightings of weird shit walking in Springfield, like in cities. Like hell, like there was that thing that I saw that was just completely out of the ordinary. Which it certainly wasn't a Bigfoot, but I don't know what the hell it was. For those of you that don't know, back when I was still with my ex-fiance, I was over at her folks' house, and it was probably 2-3 in the morning. And I went into the kitchen, and while I was just sitting there rifling through getting some snacks, I looked out the window, and just walking out there was this thing that was probably 8 to 10 feet tall, pale, like thin as hell, like I mean like sickly thin, with like long clawed hands. And it was just like walking in the street looking up at the sky. Like just kind of sauntering down the street, just staring up at the sky. I couldn't make out any facial features because it was dark. But it really didn't look like it had many facial features, if you know what I mean. That thing scared the shit out of me and still does.
Eric says, DAE kept talking Scout the hairy arm, and every time I sit on the throne, I always keep turning to the window behind me.
Hey, that's why the bathroom that I use doesn't have a window. Someone's gonna stick its arm through the window. It's making a window first.
That whole scene where it reaches through the window and that old boy used to terrify me as a kid because our bathroom had a window in it. Robbie, is it still storming where you're at?
That was a yep. If you can hear me, yes, it still is.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Papa Bear says, dude, that is just Dave the neighborhood heroin fiend. Well,
that's funny.
Well, I've seen the Springfield heroin fiends before, and that doesn't match any of their descriptions. I mean that thing was like too thin to be human thin. You know what I mean?
Sharon Lane says the Overland stage route went right through the battlefield at Pea Ridge. You can see the foundation of the coach in years ago. That's cool. Miss Naomi says, I once had a bathroom window closed off because it was right next to the toilet. Well, I understand why they put windows in bathrooms back in the day. But, when ventilation was bad and they just started putting, toilets in houses, I can understand why they'd want a window the way they could crack one open because, I grew up with my dad in the house, and I completely understand you had to let that thing air out for an hour after Dad left. But I don't know that I'd want a window in my bathroom these days. Although our back bathroom does have a window in it, we just don't use that one.
Well, we don't use that one for a number of reasons. That just happens to be one of them, but for unrelated than the other reasons.
Robert Forster says, good night. Good night all day long, all long day. Robert, hope you have a good night, man. Thank you for being here.
Have a good night, man.
Let's see. Get back to the Oklahoma Bigfoot thing. Let's see. Okay. The Tubbies was the father, Hamas Tubby, and he had 6 sons. They were all approaching 7 feet in height and weighing in at more than 300 pounds each. They were all regarded as fierce warriors and expert horsemen. The Tubbies were so effective in mounted warfare that despite their massive size, they became known as the Light Horsemen. The contingent of searchers armed to the teeth set out into the region known today as the McCurtain County Wilderness. Hey, well, that narrows it down. Anybody know where the McCurtain County Wilderness is in Oklahoma? I'm going to Google that and see if I can find it.
I need to get a little closer to my my desk here. I realized that the more I reached for my scotch glass, the more it got further away from me. Yeah,
Yes,
David By's got it. What topic? When are we on topic?
Okay, well, if that's where it's at, if it's in the McCurtain County Wilderness area, dude, you've got to be kidding me. Holy crap. That is funny. My first book, Codename Wild Hunt, Odin's Call, my first Wild Hunt book, it's miles from there. It's right on top of it.
Interesting.
You knew something without even knowing it.
Yeah, I did. Let me share that. I'm going to put the map over here and then share the screen. Hang on. Share screen. Share screen. There we go. Okay. Now that comes up, you can see my mouse moving. Right here is the McCurtain County Game Reserve. Supposedly that happened somewhere in this area. where codename Wild Hunt Odin's Call took place, right about here.
So I'd say it's probably the same clan.
Yep. In fact, where it took place, I'll show you exactly where it took, where codename Wild Hunt was. I got to find the. Is it over here? Trying to find the right creek. If I remember correctly, it would have been right in here. Which, look where that leads.
Yep. Right up to it.
Yeah, that would have been the creek bed that Clark and the team was following. That is literally the exact area. And I did not do that on purpose. Holy moly. Talk about being prescient. David says, yeah, off Otter Creek.
I mean, that's a hell of a coinky dink.
Yeah, it is.
Having the first one of those placed in like the same exact area that happened. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I would love to be able to take credit for doing that, but I hadn't, when I started writing that book, I don't even think I'd heard of the Oklahoma Bigfoot War.
That happened in what, 1855, you said?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
When's Dark Frontier taking place?
1865.
Okay, so it already happened.
That's freaking wild. Dude, that kind of freaks me out.
He's omniscient. He just knows.
I don't know about that. I got really lucky.
That's a pretty good stroke of luck right there.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely agree.
Looks like the closest town is Hookatown or Hookatown, however you pronounce it. I wonder if we could get into that area. What do you think, Robbie?
I think so. I mean, it looked accessible. I mean, I'm sure it's not like easy.
It looks like the closest anything. There's a campground called Wilderness Lakefront Resort Broken Bow, which is just a hop and a skip from McCurtain County Game Reserve.
Broken
just
Bow.
Across the Mountain Fork River from it.
And they had to call Broken Arrow and Broken Bow.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that is.
I bet we can get to it. Like I said, it's probably not going to be easy. But
no, I wanted to mention it'd be easy, but I think it'd be doable. I'm going to share that again. Just for the folks that are at home, look how much. Yeah, we've got towns in this, but there's the Ouachita National Forest. There's the McCurtain County Game Reserve. Now that we scroll back, this is Arkansas over here. Look at all this green. Now, from up here near St. Louis, we start the Mark Twain National Forest, and right about here is where the Ozark National. So all of this is the Ozark Plateau right in here.
I'd like to see
the Ozark Plateau basically covers all of this area right in here.
I'd like to see a topo of that area. That would give a lot more indication as to how hard or.
Look how much unbroken green is there. It would be so easy for something the size of a Sasquatch to go completely unnoticed. And when we get to McCurtain, there's not even any major roads or towns anywhere near it.
Wait a second. Wait.
What, buddy?
That's like not far south of Heavener.
No, it's not far from Heavener. Heavener's got to be in that area too.
Yeah.
There's Honaby, where the siege at Honaby happened, where the Oklahoma Bigfoot Festival is every year.
Yeah,
That's McCurtain.
if you go up just a little bit, Heavener's up there.
There it is. That's where the Viking runestone is at. That dates at 800 years before Christopher Columbus.
And we know that the Vikings talked about
About
large hairy creatures.
what they called the Skraelings. Yeah, the Heavener runestone is just right up to 59 from there. We need to go visit the Heavener runestone.
I agree. I'm trying to because Robbie, you wanted to see the like topography of the area, right?
Yeah, I'd like to see a topo of that area. So
There's Durant. That's where your mom and I were at last week. There's Durant. Now, we could have gone straight down here to Broken Bow and then up and been damn close to it. And that's not that far.
Because you used to be able to do that with Google Earth, but I just don't know how to do it nowadays.
I got cousins that live here in Sherman. There's Hookatown.
Yeah, I'm not certain how to do the topography in
I don't either.
in Google Earth anymore.
I used CalTopo, but I don't have the coordinates to put into that to bring it
Miss
up.
Lene says, I just messaged Ryan Tremblay and he believes the Bigfoot and the Okie Wars was the Genosqua. As aggressive as they were, it makes sense. It does make sense that they were either Genosqua or Gugway. Miss Neoma says, how far is Ada from there? Ada, Oklahoma, or is it Ada, Arkansas? I don't know. I'm not familiar with Ada.
Based on the way you wrote the Bigfoot in the first wild hunt, it wouldn't surprise me if those were Genosqua, because you said they
Robbie, look at the private chat. That should some of that should be your coordinates. I don't know exactly which set of coordinates you need. The first one is latitude, longitude. Second is your I'm trying to remember what it's called. And then last one is time coordinate.
Looks like we've got a small, maybe fire access road. It says gated road. I'm going to guess that's probably some sort of like fire access or wilderness access. That's North Linson Creek. Yeah, please be seriously either on foot or on horseback in that area.
If you're just using latitude, longitude, there it is for you, Robbie.
Yeah, okay, I'll put that in. That'll probably make it a little bit easier.
Well, I have definitely got to say that has got my curiosity piqued. Roxanne Delgado says, "What's a Genosqua?" It's one of the types of Bigfoot known to be far more aggressive than your average strand. Let me see if I can find my picture of the Genosqua.
Yeah, no, I don't have any sort of like way to change the topography in Google Earth that I can find. But that's not a big deal because Robbie's on it. You used to be able to do that. You also used to be able to use Google Earth to take a look at Mars. I don't know if you can still do that, but yeah.
Now, granted, this is an artist rendition, but this is supposedly what the Genosqua looks like. But they're extremely aggressive.
Okay, I think that is a fire
Miss
road.
Lene says it's an aggressive Bigfoot known to steal to eat children. Well, that would make perfect sense. That would be the ones that would be involved in the Bigfoot war there. Dan Combs says teeth are wrong. Yeah, they probably are. I can't imagine its teeth would probably look like that, but of course, that is an artist rendering, so I don't know that we're going to be lucky enough to get a actual photograph of one. Sharon Lane says the Ozark Plateau is a very unique geological formation. It's supposed to be one of the safest places to live in the United States. It has an abundance of water, plenty of water, and it is one of the oldest mountain ranges on the planet. Actually predates the Rockies, the Appalachians, and most other mountain ranges on the globe. They at one time were taller than the Rockies, but they're also one of the oldest mountain ranges on the planet. So they've been beaten down over the eons, but at one time they were much taller than they are now. Robert D says they used to update the maps, but mine is over 10 years behind now. Luis Noriega says, don't you find those up in the 411 area up in Alaska? They're seen in Canada. They're usually more likely to be seen in cold weather areas. But I've got Gugway sightings in Arkansas and East Texas. So it's hard to say. I mean, traditionally where we got the Janoska and Gugway sightings before were in colder reaches. But they've been sighted in other places. Brockton says, has anyone seen them nowadays? Yeah, we still get Gugway and Janoska sightings coming in. Oh Lord, sorry about that.
I'm right there with you. I'm starting to get a little tired myself. But yeah, I mean, I wonder how many like missing 411 cases there are in that area as well.
Well,
may want to be something like cross-check, you know what I mean?
I can pull up my map of the missing 411 clusters. I think I've still got it in the load here. Let me find it. Yeah.
So yeah,
look at that large cluster right there in eastern Oklahoma.
Yep, that is a hot spot. Looks like
that is a big hot spot. More so than Missouri.
Yeah. Okay. So we may have ourselves a spot to go record at potentially.
Yeah, I think we should.
We want to
definitely
plan a
be
trip
heading
out
down
there.
Don Donaldson says you said there were 30 men attacking, but the Bigfoot. But does it say how many Bigfoot there were? Not that I recall. It said that after riding all day, the searchers finally arrived in the area where they believed the bandits to be hiding. LaFleur brought his troops to a halt, stood up in his stirrups, and surveyed the area with a spyglass. It's unclear exactly what LaFleur saw, but whatever it was, he ordered his men to charge toward a stand of pines roughly 500 yards distant. LaFleur and the Tubby men led the attack. As the troops closed the distance between themselves and the stand of pines where the kidnappers were thought to be hiding, they were assaulted by a tremendous stench, the unmistakable odor of decay and decomposition. The horses of most of the men to begin to buck and rear, tossing the riders. Only the mounts of the LaFleur and the Tubby men were disciplined enough to remain composed, allowing the 8 men to continue through the pines. As the men cleared the small wooded patch, they came upon a large earthen mound. Scattered across the mound were the bodies of children and women in various stages of decomposition. LaFleur and the Tubbies caught a glimpse of a number of the murderers fleeing into the tree line on the opposite side of the mound. Only 3 of the killers stood their ground to meet the charge of the light horsemen. It was at this time that the cavalry realized they were not going up against any human foe. Rather, standing before them, snarling and beating their chests, were huge, hair-covered creatures. Despite what must have been a shocking sight to him, LaFleur drew his pistol and saber and spurred his mount and charged. As LaFleur approached the nearest ape, it took a mighty swipe and struck his horse in the head, killing it instantly. LaFleur managed to roll off the falling horse, quickly jumped to his feet, and fired multiple shots into the chest of the creature. Once his pistol was empty, LaFleur attacked the ape with his saber, opening up gaping wounds in the animal, which roared in rage and pain. LaFleur's assault on the creature was so quick and the shock of seeing hair-covered monsters so great that the Tubby men hesitated, completely stupefied before entering the fray. The delay allowed one of the other two apes to get behind LaFleur, who was intensely focused on the ape he had engaged. The second beast grabbed LaFleur's head with its two huge hands and ripped it from his shoulders. The horrible sight jolted the Tubby warriors into action, and they opened fire on the three Sasquatches with 50 caliber Sharps buffalo rifles. Two of the beasts were killed instantly, dropping in their tracks. The third creature was wounded but turned and fled before the lethal shot could be fired. Robert Tubby, only 18 years old but already 6'11" and well over 300 pounds, spurred his horse and ran down the injured ape and dispatched him with his hunting knife. Yeah, I guess they only killed 3. The others, there was a large number of the creatures, and only 3 of them stood the ground. The others ran. So we don't know how many were there, but we do know that most of them got away.
So falling back on Heavener being that close, as much as the Viking explorers were here, like documenting things, I wonder if that may have been intentional, like setting up in Heavener. Because
the writing, the Viking writing, the runes that are in the runestone, name it the Valley of the Trolls or something like that.
I think it's the Valley of the Gnomes.
It was something like that.
But I find it very interesting given the proximity between the two. You know what I mean? Like, why is this such a active area? You know what I mean? And I think
the area is just so densely wooded. Well, and it's riddled with caves.
Kind of what I'm getting at is I wonder if the Viking explorers were thinking the same thing. Like, wow, this is a really active area. Like, we should document this. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
So I just think that's very, very interesting. And there's some weird possibility there.
Mr. Yoda says showing there was a movie made in 2014 called Bigfoot Wars. No, that is that movie is based. It's got C. Thomas Howell in it. It's based on a book by, I want to say, his last name's Brown. I can't remember his first name. David Brown, Don Brown, something like that. But he writes a lot of cryptid stuff. Bigfoot versus zombies, and several of the books like that. Good writer, interesting guy. I've talked to him a few times, but it's set in modern times. It's not based on the 1855 one.
And David By says the Heavener incident is about 800 years older than the war. Well, yeah. I'm not saying that like they set up there because the war happened. I'm saying that maybe they set up there because there was a lot of activity in the area, and a lot of the natives they ran into were like, hey, this area is like bad. Don't go here. And obviously, Viking explorers are like wanting to document the bad. So they're like, you say we shouldn't go there? Okay, everybody pack it in. We're going there.
Sounds like us.
It's like these things are gonna kill you. There's a fight, you say?
Naomi said it was Eric Brown. Yeah, Eric Brown. That's right. Yeah, I've spoken to Eric quite a few times. He's a good writer, really nice guy. If you read the book Bigfoot Wars, it's not quite as I hate to use the word cheesy, but the movie was a little cheesy.
The movie was a lot cheesy.
And I think Eric agreed with me, but he didn't care. Like, they're paying me to make a movie out of one of my books. I don't care. If they want to make my books into movies, they can turn them into Rodgers and Hammerstein buddy musicals if they want to, as long as they're signing the checks. Now, granted, I don't want my books turned into musicals, but if they buy the rights, then
yeah, if they do that, it's not like we're making royalties off of it. It's going to be like, hey, you're paying us one lump sum. This is how much you're paying us, regardless of how much money this makes.
Meanwhile, if they do make it into musicals, I guess I'll just have to wipe my tears with money.
Meanwhile, it's like, hey, we're going to turn these into high-end blockbuster action movies. It's like, okay, maybe we go for the royalties,
There we go.
You get picked up by Sony or something like that, and it's like, okay, yeah, all right. Give us royalties. You guys take the con.
Jim Lindell says, when the Wild Hunt went in there, they said there were multiple tribes of Bigfoot, even the tribe that talked to Captain Clark. Exactly. There were multiple tribes in that area, which seems to, weirdly enough, fit in with what's really happened in that area. Margolin in a musical. Now that's hilarious.
Oh, man.
That is freaking hilarious, the thought of Margolin in a musical. It'd be the first X-rated musical you ever saw.
It's Frank Margolin in the Pirates of Penzance.
I was going to say Fiddler.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it's more like Shooter on the Roof than Fiddler.
Well, yeah, I was thinking the Fiddler's on the roof, and he's just like, can you get down from there? Fiddler's having a dance while he's playing the fiddle because there's freaking bullets coming through the roof at him.
K Bowers 811 says Woody Harrelson is Steve Lilly. I was thinking more like a Matthew McConaughey. All right. Robert D says, DA, if you're going to a new Wild Hunt book, tie it into these murders. I could reference it. I might even reference it in Dark Frontiers. Naomi's Fiddler on the roof. Margolin up on the roof peeing off on people. I can see that.
Phantom of the Opera, but the whole time he's hunting the Phantom. You think they could make a Bigfoot musical?
I don't see why they couldn't. They can make a musical out of anything.
I don't know what would be funnier if the Bigfoot was played by like a super low bass, or if the Bigfoot was played by a soprano.
Robbie, did you send that image?
Yeah, I sent the topo map.
All right, I'm going to put it.
That's the exact coordinates that Noah sent me.
I'm going to put that up. That if I can really still read a topo map fairly well, that's some rough looking terrain.
Yeah, I mean it's
a lot of elevation changes.
It's not easy, but I mean I'm not saying it's not doable.
If it'd be possible to go in on horseback.
Oh, I'm sure. The horseback will probably be the optimal way to do it.
Roxanne Zell Delgado says, "You see it? Bigfoot has a little Bo Peep tending sheep." Robert D says ATVs. The only thing is you'd have to pack in fuel. You have to make sure you bring in plenty of fuel.
That's why horses are optimal and stuff like that.
Yeah, some of those Gator side-by-sides if you brought in enough fuel. West Stump says by boat. Only problem with coming in by boat, let me see if I still got that map up. No, I closed out of the map, damn it. The only problem with coming in by boat is the boat will only get you so far. You could put ashore on that lake, but you'd still have several miles inland to get to.
David By says horseback, you don't have to pack gas. Yeah, but ATVs don't get scared of the damn Bigfoot.
That's true. ATVs don't throw you off and run off without you.
No, but horses don't break down and short out when they get wet either.
This is
they
true.
do if they miss their footing.
Yeah, that might take some doing to organize that kind of a research team back in there.
Yep. I got to get my new toy before we do something like that, though.
I think it'd be worth the trip, though.
Oh, yeah. But I got to get my new toy before we do that. We'll get me a Marlin 4570 lever action.
There you go. Sharon Lane says, does it seem like some clans of Bigfoot are far more violent than others? Yeah. I've definitely noticed that. You get all kinds of interactions where, like in the case of that kid in North Carolina that went missing for 3 days, and he said that the bear took care of him and kept him warm and fed him berries. Bears don't do that.
Yep.
You get stories like that where a Bigfoot helps somebody, but then you've got other stories like all the missing 411s, for example, where they are not so helpful. Tomb says, sounds like an expedition indeed.
Toombs, you need to fly on over, join us.
Christy Crawford says, are mules afraid like horses? Yeah, that might be a better question for Miss Lene. She knows a lot more about horses than that. Horses and their ilk.
I don't see mules being as skittish as horses. I mean, a lot of reason people keep donkeys and mules and things like that in the pens without everything else. Because they'll kill coyotes.
True. Roxanne says, how many I'm assuming subspecies from Bigfoot are there? Well, we've got the skunk ape, which we believe is a different type of Bigfoot, more adapted to the swamp. We've got the ones that are scattered throughout the South that they refer to as wood boogers or just boogers that seem to be bigger. The ones here in the Midwest seem to be more aggressive than the ones in the Pacific Northwest. The ones out on the California and the Pacific Northwest, the Patterson-Gimlin type, seem to be less aggressive. But then again, you still got plenty of missing people out there on those trails. I think there's more than a dozen types on North America that have been identified from basic descriptions, and that's not counting Dogman or any of the others. That's just different types of Sasquatch that have been described.
Toombs, you wouldn't be bait, brother. You'd be standing right there beside me.
All I'm saying is potentially, instead of bringing like an ATV or something like that, if there's going to be a lot of us, all we need to do is weld a certain type of mount to a certain kind of truck.
And have a certain small individual bring a certain play pretty he's got.
If we gotta fight our way out of there, it's lock and load, gentlemen.
Here's a crazy thought for you. What if we got a proposal together and pitched it to the guy that owns Bass Pro? He's a billionaire. I mean, the dude's a straight up billionaire. He lives here in Springfield. Johnny Morris is a billionaire, and you might he might just laugh when you say the word Bigfoot, but that's freaking Bass Pro. If you were to find one and find evidence of one, there's no better place to showcase it. Every hunter in North America shops at Bass Pro.
Yeah.
Or Cabela's, and they own Cabela's.
Yeah, I was about to say, or Cabela's, and guess who owns Cabela's?
And they put Gander Mountain out of business, so they really don't have that much competition.
Yeah, what it was, the LL Bean, the yuppie version of Bass Pro.
I was about to say, that's more about the clothes than it is about the gear,
right? Anyway. Than quality. It's about having the right name brand like North Face.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
David By says, make sure Doc sends a few extra kits. I don't think we'd be able to go without him. I think he'd be offended if we tried to go without him.
Doc would definitely be down like 4 flat tires.
Heck yeah, he would. He'd be the team medic anyway. Jim Lindell says, I had some skunk apes down the barrel of my 105 millimeter howitzer in the 130 gunship in the Florida Panhandle before the mid 80s. Doc knows some guys who were in similar position flying in and out of Kandahar. Would pick them up on the thermals in the mountains above Kandahar. That might actually be worth it. Worth it making a pitch. I mean, I don't know if I could get an appointment to see the guy, but if we pitched the idea of him funding a show / expedition, we document the whole thing.
I mean, the worst he can say is no.
True. It's not like he's going to have me shot for asking.
Yeah, if he says no, we're no worse off than we are right now anyway. I mean, if he says, I'll think about it, we're better than we are at this particular moment with it. So, I mean, it's not. What's it going to hurt?
No kidding. We might have to talk about that at length about putting together a prospectus, I mean. A pitch, a sales pitch.
Well, since we're talking about that part of it, my cousin, who I told you, is one of our newer subscribers that helped us break the goal. He is really, really gotten into it big time, and he's an attorney, so he would probably be willing to be our legal counsel for stuff like that, because we would need something like that.
Heck yeah, we would.
So I would. As a matter of fact, he's gonna try to go to the conference in Texas. So because then I'll introduce you to him, and that might be something we can sit down with him. And he actually wants to talk to you anyway, because he's got a couple of books he's writing, so he wants to pick your brain about stuff. So
sure, I'd be happy to help.
That might be a good trade-off.
Heck yeah. David By says, what about the guy from Skinwalker? I think you mean Brandon, I can't remember what his last name is, from the guy that owns Skinwalker Ranch. I think I would rather approach Johnny Morris first, or maybe the guy that owns Prime.
Yeah, those guys would probably be a bit more receptive to it.
I think we could probably have a better chance getting Elon Musk to fund us than the guy from Skinwalker Ranch.
Probably. Jim Liddell says it took a 105 millimeter round to kill those in Kandahar. Doesn't surprise me. The whole Giants of Kandahar story. That I'm fine. I found that a lot of people were saying, "Oh, that couldn't have happened," or "That didn't happen." There's no official references. Well, of course there would be no official references. Yeah, but the thing about the Giants of Kandahar story, is I think it happened more than once. I'm finding information where it leads me to believe it happened probably several times where they encountered these things. David says, I was thinking as an alternative, just spitballing. It's worth checking. I mean, worst case scenario, if the other guys say no, we can always try it somebody else. We could always try to pitch it as a show idea to like Travel Channel or HBO or something.
Or Discovery or Sci-Fi.
Toshi says, just curious, DA. Toshi says, just curious, DA, any of your books going to deal with Skinwalker Ranch? More than likely not. I'm probably not going to mess with the Skinwalker Ranch stuff, because since it's a current show, I would imagine that they would probably be very litigious if I used their name.
Not to mention that, like, it's someone's personal property, and it's just kind of like there are some hoops you have to jump through for that.
Very much so.
If we did,
oh,
sorry.
Go ahead, bud.
I was just gonna say, if we did something that was inspired by it, that's a totally different animal. But doing something just using the name is hard field to hit.
Sharon Lane says, didn't Bass Pro start out as a little bait shop a long time ago? Sure did. Started out as just a local place here in Springfield, and it grew. It's huge now. I mean, he is, Johnny Morris is actually listed on the billionaires list. and he just started it. Well, actually, his dad was rich, but so he didn't like start out poor, but he started out with like 1 or 2 stores, and it grew from there. K Bowers 811 says, just don't turn the show into a mountain monsters type of thing. It's entertaining, but yeah, no, I refuse to be part of something like that. Just
no,
wouldn't
listen,
do it.
I'm gonna go out there in my ghillie suit, and I'm gonna have a big chunk of wood, and I'm gonna start knocking on trees and going "Arr!" to try to attract the Bigfoot. You know, like it's you know.
Just because I look and sound like some of those guys, don't mean I'm gonna go out there and act like them.
No, we would approach this from a very, very legit point of view. Robbie would be my tracker. Robbie would be our scout and tracker. Then of course most of the rest of us come from the military and law enforcement background. Robbie included. He's presently still law enforcement, but most of us coming from backgrounds of law enforcement and military, and Noah growing up in and around it. We would be out there collecting evidence the way you should collect evidence. We'd be documenting everything. We'd be filling out reports on what we found and what happened. Having briefings and after action reports, not running around going, "It's the midnight mauler! Oh my God!
We got to get up here and see what's going on right now."
Boom, boom, boom.
Like we're going to stop in the middle of something going on to sit down and do a little.
Eric Testament says Johnny started selling his tackle out of his dad's store called Brown Derby. Brown Derby's still a liquor chain around here. A lot of them.
It's a liquor store chain. It's not
liquor store chain. Yeah,
they don't have their own liquor, which would be really cool.
Yeah, they do. They got the Brown Derby brand, and it's all bad.
I think they stopped doing that because it was all bad.
Tamara 0142 says, where in Oklahoma did this happen? We believe that this event happened in what is now the McCurtain County Wilderness Wildlife Preservation Area. But it's down in southeastern Oklahoma near the Ouachita Mountains. Griff says, bunch of Leos cuffing and stuffing. I'll be out there doing the Roscoe.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bunch of Leos and their suit guy.
Tim says zoinks.
Oh man.
Jessica, it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That's a good show. I watched that. That was a good show y'all did.
Thank you. Jessica's always got an awesome show. She's awesome.
Yep.
Those pictures were pretty interesting. If those did come from a game cam, I'm still not convinced it's a dog man, but I don't know what the hell it is.
Thank you, Miss Lene.
David Bice says, well, maybe we'll get the Oklahoma bounty. Well, if we bring it in alive. That's not a bad idea. Hey, Jessica, would you be willing to do a remote viewing on this event, the Oklahoma Bigfoot War of 1855? If you'd be willing to do it, get a hold of me and we'll do a follow-up show on it. We'll, have you come on and talk about what you find, because some people are convinced this event didn't happen, but we're finding historical records that the people involved were real. And this event is where LaFleur was killed. He died in 1855. That's documented. She says, absolutely. Yeah, shoot me a message and I'll send you the specifics, things to look at. It's LaFleur County. It's in LaFleur County, Oklahoma, but it's the McCurtain Wildlife Preservation Area or something like that. But supposedly there was a Bigfoot war, where the LaFleur and his group of light horsemen fought a clan of Bigfoot. Little Patty says, I hear a puppy. Was that one of yours, Robbie?
Yes, you hear a knucklehead's what you hear, not a puppy.
Mean, it wasn't Harley. I'll tell you that.
No, it's Bucky.
If it was Harley, you'd immediately hear Mom just in response go, shut up. That
No,
dog will bark at anything. He barks to hear his head rattle sometimes.
there's a
He's a
cat that
goob.
hangs out in the backyard, one of them stray cats around here, and then every time it goes in his sight picture, he goes nuts. So
This article says, and I'll read the entire paragraph here. They're talking about how they weren't sure whether the event actually took place, but despite the fact that you can find out that the Tubbies were real, LaFleur was a real guy. He was a real fellow that died in that area in 1855. It says, having said that, it is possible that the LaFleur County incident was actually based on a real event that took place in a different location. According to a Bigfoot researcher named Jim King, the answer might be yes. King believes the LaFleur County story is based on an event that took place much farther west in Kiowa territory, an event related to him by an Indian elder. According to the story, Kiowa women were placed in a special teepee or tent on the edge of camp when they started their monthly cycle. The women stayed there, being tended to only by older women until they were finished. The elder told King that the women were considered unclean during their cycles, and Kiowa warriors were not only forbidden any type of physical contact with the females during this time, they were not even to look upon them. This seems a little bit harsh, but not too different than the way many cultures treated women in the past. The elders said that once long ago there had been trouble with ape-like creatures who were attracted by the scent and pheromones emanating from the tent. Since the tent was on the edge of the encampment, it proved to be an easy target for renegade apes who are said to have entered and carried off women on several occasions. To make a long story short, the Kiowa leadership decided this was unacceptable and put together a group of warriors to hunt down the kidnappers. The searchers did manage to track an ape back to its lair and killed not only it, but an entire family unit. Now, that sounds different enough to me, I would believe that's a separate incident entirely. I don't think those are the same event because they're not even close to the same.
I mean, there's a few things that sound sort of vaguely similar, but for the most part,
Just the abductions part.
Yeah. For the most part, it's completely and totally.
I think those are two separate events. I don't know, folks. Y'all. Oh yeah, Jessica said y'all should look into Paul Bunyan. The person the character was based on being a Type 4 Sasquatch. I did a show on a while back. It's worth looking into. Well, we'll definitely be looking into that. What do you guys think? Do you guys think the Oklahoma Bigfoot War happened, or do you think it's just a bit of interesting fiction? To me, the simple fact that we can verify that the Tubbies, the Light Horsemen, were real. Robbie had even heard of the Light Horsemen before he even knew about this event. We know LaFleur led the group, and LaFleur died in 1855. Died in action in 1855. I think it's a real event. I think this really happened, and I think if we could get an expedition into that McCurtain area, I think we could find it. It might take us a little while, but I bet money we could find it.
Let's do it.
Let's see if we can get some funding.
Yeah, I would be down.
I'll speak for myself and Doc and say we'll both be down like 4 flat tires.
Just following up on the thoughts about the concreteness of if this had happened or not. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Heavener runestones were found so close, and that there's so many different like 411 cases in that area. I don't think it's a coincidence that we're looking at an area that's a hot spot for missing 411 cases, and also that Heavener's right there. Like I think this is entirely possible. I think it's entirely possible because think about it like this. Think about it like this, right? There's got to be a reason that the Viking explorers would have set up in Heavener, right? Because thinking about it like this, they are here to document dangerous things. They're here to document potential living areas. What would be the best place to figure out where you don't want to set up a settlement? Somewhere that everyone considers really dangerous. But first you have to go see why it's really dangerous. Flash forward a few hundred years, boom.
Well,
the
traditionally,
freaking Bigfoot war happens, and now like missing 411 is crazy in the area. Like there's something going on there.
Vikings were like Spartans. I mean, Spartans longed for that perfect fight, perfect death. I mean, it's just, you know, they made the line in 300, but it's actually pretty historically accurate where he said, you know, I fought many battles and nobody has been able to give me what I would consider, you know, a perfect death. But, you know, looking out on the Persian army, he said, maybe somebody down there can do that. Vikings were the same way. I mean, they didn't shy away from
The greatest honor was to die in battle.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you didn't get to Valhalla unless you died in glory on the battlefield. So
Right.
you know, anybody who was anybody in the Viking culture, that's, you know, that was the thing that they. So, like you said, they're there to document, Noah. But you said it earlier. You kind of hit on it. Oh, danger over here.
Right.
Glory in
My
battle. I'm there.
Yeah.
my idea is that they were looking for somewhere where they could get a good fight, right? But they were also trying to find out somewhere that if they were going to set up a settlement, where do we want to put our children? Do we want to put them really close to this area where these giant hairy creatures are going to be killing people? Or do we want to put them a little over the ridge line and, you know, just you know, a few minutes more into the sunrise, you know? Like it was clearly calculated for them to be in Heavener, right? To be in the Heavener area because of what was happening miles south, like a half a day's journey, like not even half a day's, like a quarter day's journey walking, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and I agree that's where they set up their safe area, the you know for the women and children, and then there go the warriors over to.
Not even necessarily the women and children, because there were a lot of women fighters too. It was
Viking shield maidens.
Yeah, it was the farmers and the children. I was like, hey, you're too old to fight. Go protect the children, till the grounds. Grow some, what do they call this? Corn? Yeah, grow some of that shit.
Miss Lene, I'm right there with you.
I think that's a yeah, and that's something we didn't even think about when we started this show tonight. It wasn't making connections with Vikings and Bigfoot in Oklahoma with the Heavener stones. I mean,
all the things to connect. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we all knew about these things, but we didn't know.
That's what I'm here for, man. I'm here to connect the dots. All I'm saying is whatever it comes to pulling out the map and starting to draw the little red string lines between all the stuff, I'm the man for that job.
I told you there was going to be a bunch of red strings at your house, DA. I just thought it was going to be you and not Noah. So,
Dad brought up the map, and I barely saw what I thought was Heavener while he was zooming in. So I just quickly tabbed out and brought up Google Earth and zoomed in on the same area, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "This is right there."
Hey, Bauer says, Griff, I've been needing one of those Scalawag bounties. Well, you can bet if we're going down there, this is going to be on my pack all the time. The Bigfoot Express card. Don't leave home without it.
I have a scimitar. Not exactly what I'd reckon for use as a machete, but I mean, it is technically one.
Hold that thought.
Politicians and their sons had to go to war, like with each other.
It's kind of the opposite of now.
And that's all we'll say on that matter.
Since we're talking about going in and acting like Vikings.
There you go. Got the Conan sword. Well, is it sharp?
No, but just because I hadn't sharpened it in a while. But it could definitely be sharpened. And if nothing else, you can really knock somebody out with this thing, because this thing weighs about
All right, you guys bring
30
those.
pounds.
You guys bring those, and I'll just bring this.
Your
My cognac
sword.
sword.
Your cognac sword. You know, we'll have actual swords, and Noah's going to be liquored up.
Yeah.
Hey, if you can't start boozing when there's the threat of a Bigfoot around, then when can you? Everyone's bringing actual weapons, and I'm just like, well, if I'm gonna die, I'm not gonna die sober. Oh man.
Well, I personally believe that this happened. I think it's a real event.
I think that there's too much going on in that area for it to have not happened.
Kay Bauer says, did they discontinue the bounty? No, they're supposedly getting 300 more in sometime in the next month or two.
Yeah, Doc said he talked to Craig the other day and said that's what he said was happening.
Someone mentioned, it was Sharon Lane. She says, contact the University of Oklahoma archives. I think they have some information about this event. I think I will. I'll reach out. I think that's worth digging into this to see if there's how much information I can find.
By the way, if anybody needs a certain blade, make sure to use that link. Go Scallywag Tactical.
Well, this is a good time to talk about our affiliates.
Yep.
Since Doc's not here, we can play the commercial and have Doc mention it himself. How about a word from the little pocket Doc himself? Here we go.
Hey everybody, this is Kerry Pocket Doc Davis from Dark Angel Medical, and you are listening to DA Ex Machina with DA Roberts. You may recognize me or some of my products from Dark Angel Medical in some of the Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and Wild Hunt books, and you can get those products at www.darkangelmedical.com, along with training classes on how to use those products and save a life. Shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com and be the difference.
If you go to darkangelmedical.com and use the discount code Cryptid25, you'll get 25% off your entire order. Robbie, you want to tell us a little bit about Scallywag Tactical?
Sure. Scallywag Tactical, what Noah was just mentioning, and like the knife that DA just held up a minute ago, the bounty, correct? That's the bounty.
That's the bounty.
This is the Orca. That's the Jolly Roger that Noah's got. Some of the best blades that you can buy. And you go to the big box store and you're going to buy a Kershaw, or you're going to buy a Benchmade or something like that. You're going to pay, last time I priced Spyderco or Benchmade, I think they were like $100 and something for a folder like this. And I've messed around with those knives, and for the money, they can't compete with these knives. Is that the Black Jolly Roger?
No. This one's the
or the Spindrift.
No, not a Spindrift. God dang it. Let me look it up. I can't remember what it's called.
But they got so many of them, it's hard to remember. I think DA's got just about one of every folder they've made so far.
Most of the folders.
I think he's only missing one or two. Anyway, fixed blades, folders, kitchen knives. Noah loves their kitchen knives. So
this is the Privateer.
Privateer, yeah. You're not going to find a knife. I've had this one probably close to 6 months and have never sharpened it, and it's still just as sharp as the day I got it. And like Doc loves to say, they'll cut you 3 ways: long, deep, and continuous. And you go on there, use code DA Roberts 10, get yourself 10% off. And there's a little trick that you can save even more money. They've got a little section on there called Blemish Blades. You go to the Blemish Blades, and this was a blemish blade. Ain't nothing wrong with the knife itself. All those little scuffs on it are things that I put on it. We got the knife there with a scratch on it, but it was a blemish blade. Probably the box was messed up a little bit, which is usually what happens with that. But you can get those knives at really, really good prices. And then that code DA Roberts 10, stacks onto that at the end of it. I got this knife for $7, I think. It cost me more shipping than the knife itself cost. And like I said before, I dare you to go anywhere, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, Bass Pro Shop, any of those places, and get a knife that's better than this. You might find one that's maybe close to as good, but you're not going to find one better than this for the money. It's just not going to happen. And some of the, like the
Here's a
Jolly Roger,
another scallywag set. These are called the Chucks.
That's Chucks.
They're throwing knives. It's a set of 3 throwing knives.
I mean, how
And they
cool
are
is that
pretty
to
damn
have
accurate.
throwing knives and call them Chucks? I mean, that in itself is worth you going to the website and checking it out just because of the cool names of the knives. But the Jolly Roger that Noah's got right there, I've got the blue version. That was blue that you had too, right, Noah? Yeah, I got that same knife.
Yeah,
and I got mine on the blemish blades. Nothing wrong with it. I got that knife for $15. It's normally $45. All right. So
they make some fantastic blades.
Go visit Skywag Tactical.
If I'm being completely honest with you, I've thought about removing the grips on this and taking the airbrush to them and painting them a different color, just so I have a truly unique one.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, but and you probably would be able to do that fairly easy. It wouldn't mess the knife up. Matter of fact, another friend of ours that's on the show, Ken, I showed him that for Brock blades. I let him look at the Jolly Roger the other day, and he looked at it. And he said that's a very well put together knife. So go visit Scallywag Tactical. Tell them we sent you. We don't get kickbacks off these things. You know, we like the product. We stand by it. That's why you've heard about them. The boarding axe, the bounty, the gunner's mate. I think you've used a Jolly Roger in some of the books.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the pocket knife that Clark carries, the Jolly Roger?
Yeah, Clark carries a Jolly Roger.
So we put them, or he puts them in there because we like the products and we stand by them because of the products. So go visit the website, get you a couple knives from the Blemish Blade, put that DA Roberts 10 code in at the end of it, and save yourself even more money.
Speaking of Scallywag Tactical, one of the giveaways that we're going to be giving away on Saturday night is in this box right here.
Co-hosts can't win, right?
You put your name in the hat, man. We're gonna have the randomizer, so whoever's in chat has a chance to win. We're probably going to be giving away a few of these as well. I'm definitely going to give away a Scallywag blade. And I've got some other stuff as well, some books and some interesting things that we're going to be giving away. And our other affiliate is our buddy Ken Brock from Brock Blades. You can visit him at brockblades.com. He made this knife. All of his knives are handmade. He makes them on a forge there, his own property. He's a veteran of law enforcement, been a cop for a lot of years, and he makes these blades by hand. They're absolute works of art, and they are beautiful. This one goes just about everywhere with me anymore. It's a Brock Blade Skeindu, which is a Scottish term which means black blade. It was a holdout knife that Highlanders would carry, and it also got used for a million other things too, like cutting food. It was an all-purpose utility knife, but they generally kept it hidden in their sock. It was one of those last holdout blades, a weapon that your enemy didn't know you had. But I've wrote about Will Gray Eagle carrying the Ardennes, and I should be getting an Ardennes here very soon, and I can't wait to show it off on the air. But if you go to brockblades.com and check out what he's got available, again, they're all handmade, made to order. And if you mention that you heard about Brock Blades through this show, he'll give you a 10% off your entire order. So head over by brockblades.com, show him some love. And we definitely love showing support to our veteran and first responder owned businesses and groups, because we're all about that here. So check out Scallywag Tactical, Dark Angel Medical, and Brock Blades. Make sure you let them know we sent you. Catch up on the comments.
Yeah, for anyone who needs the spelling of Skindoo, it's in the chat, but it's SGIANDUBH.
Skindoo. Don Donaldson says, "Would it help me if my birthday is tomorrow?" Well, there's always a little bit of birthday luck involved. Maybe we'll see what we can do. But Saturday we'll be doing the giveaways, folks. We hit our 5K, and somebody give me a drum roll, please. I'll go over and tell us exactly where we're at right now. If this will come up. We broke 5,000 yesterday, about 2 hours before we went live, and we're at 5,021 right now. So I expect to be seeing a lot of growth here in the near future, because now that we're over the 5K mark, we're going to be appearing in a lot more of YouTube's algorithms. So we're going to start getting noticed a lot more. Now would be a great time for us to get over on Spreaker too, because we've got over 5,000 followers. So that should help us on Spreaker as well. Yeah, definitely join us Saturday, 5/20/23. The show is just going to be a celebration, but we'll be talking about cryptids between giveaways. So God knows what we'll be talking about, probably anything and everything. But it's going to be our big 5,000 show, the big 5K. Hope you guys will tune in with us on Saturday night. There are going to be quite a few giveaways. We've got a lot of stuff that we're going to be giving out to say thank you to everybody who's been part of the DAX Machina family and helped us get here. It's been a long and interesting journey, and we've got a long way to go yet. And I'm thrilled to death that you guys have come with us on this journey. So this has not been the work of any one person. This has been a team effort. We've all been working our butts off, and my fellow co-hosts, and we've got the best moderators in the business as far as I'm concerned. I've done a lot of other shows, and our moderators are just leagues better than any other show I've ever dealt with. We've got some fantastic moderators. You guys do an awesome job. Everybody that's part of the DAX Machination, the family here, we appreciate each and every one of you, and we are so grateful that you guys have helped us make it here, and we can't wait to see where the next year or two takes us. Onward and upward from here. I think our next big giveaways will be at 10,000, but we're going to do some pretty nice giveaways for the 5,000. So, folks, thank you guys so much for helping us get here. It has been a thrill. We've had so much fun, making these shows and sharing our ideas and our theories with you guys. And I can't believe how far this has come so quickly. I mean, the show was just barely 2 years old, and we're at 5,000, which is just absolutely awesome. Lene says, yes, teamwork. That's right. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's right, Toombs. And I've got some amazing people here on this team. And C. Blanton's a new member. That's awesome. Thanks for becoming a new member, man. Welcome to the DAX Machination.
Welcome.
Don Combs says teamwork makes the dream work. That's exactly it. Yeah, we'll have a full list of what we're giving away on Saturday, but we just a few teasers of what we're giving away. Is there'll be a scallywag knife. There's definitely going to be some books. Robbie's going to have something really freaking cool that he's giving away. I think you guys are going to be.
David, I said this the other night, but I think you were already out of the chat. I've finally got myself caught up in your thing from the 3K giveaway is in the queue now. So I'll be getting that done and out into you before too long. Apologize it took so long, but one guy doing all those things, it kind of takes me a little while to get all that stuff done. But yeah, I got something cool for this one. I think everybody's gonna like it. I hope anyway. Noah didn't know what it was.
Jake Light says, just don't forget the original 5K.
No,
don't worry, man.
I was not even on the same page. Like, I wasn't looking at that. I didn't even know what you were holding up or anything like that. I was not here.
No,
I was doing
what
I was doing behind the scenes stuff. Sorry.
But what I'm giving away is what I put the picture in the co-host chat the other night. Honestly, I didn't even know what it was until I looked at it. Don't say what it is, but you should know what I'm talking about.
I vaguely remember, but I've drank a lot since then. So give me a second.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I know. I've had a good few drinks since
definitely
then.
Illustrate what it is. I'm going to try to make sure I illustrate it very well when we put it up here to show.
Wanted to say thank you to Jake here. He says, now you guys really deserve the best channel I've heard so far. Congrats, guys. Thank you so much. And Roxanne Delgado says, of all I have listened to, you guys are the best, the very best. Thank you so much. I've said it before, and I'm going to continue to say it. We don't have fans, we have friends. The show, the whole point of the show has been to feel like a group of folks just sitting around a fire, sharing a cup of coffee or a beer and talking about stories and telling the stories about monsters and Bigfoot and Dogman, and it was just intended to be folks talking. It's not us, not us up here lecturing anybody. Nobody claims to be an expert because there are no experts in this field. We're happy to share what we know. And we have a good time doing it. We laugh and make fun of each other and have a good old time. And I don't want that to ever change. I really enjoy the way we do things. So, folks, thank you guys for spending your Wednesday evening with us. And thank you all for helping make this 5,000 subscribers a reality. I can't wait to see where it takes us. And, we're going to continue to grow the family. The DAX Machination is on the rise. And we're thrilled to have new people, but we're thrilled to death that we've got our old friends as well. So there's always room at the fire for more people to sit and share stories. But we thank each and every one of you who have been there with us from the get. And I want to say that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys so much. It's been an amazing journey, and I can't wait to see where we go from here. But again, join us on Saturday night. We're going to have some really wicked giveaways. Hopefully Doc will be with us. I know he's got a couple things he's throwing in as well. Some very nice stuff you guys are going to want. We're going to want to get. I've got several books we're going to be giving away. Girls from Blondes and Booze gave us a certificate for Blondes and Booze merchandise, and we'll be giving that away. Krista sent that to me earlier. Penny Van says, anyhow, love to all. I was here the entire show but couldn't type. We're happy you were here. Thank you guys thank you for being here so much. Poncho Zort says, okay, just made my Dark Angel EDC kit and 6 CPR masks. Awesome. Tomb's posting about the giveaway again. Thank you guys so much for helping us, for being with us on this journey. I've said it many times and I'll say it again. Stories are journeys that we take together. And thank you guys so much for taking this journey with us. So join us on Saturday night. We're going to be doing some awesome giveaways. We're still going to be talking cryptids and monsters and all kinds of stuff. And we are seriously going to look into possibly making an expedition out into the Ouachita Mountains to look for the site of this Bigfoot War. I think that'd be a hell of a lot of fun. It would make a great documentary. So you folks, you guys have a wonderful night. You have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you guys on Saturday. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.